Should you buy a small investment property that you can pay off fast, or a big investment property that allows you to leverage more? That's what Mourinho Brandao was asking below one of our latest real estate videos, and that is an absolutely awesome question that deserves its own video. So here we are. Because there's no general right or wrong to answer this question, there's only a right way to do it for your personal investment strategy and the wrong way to do it. So let's see what option is better for you in this Perfect real estate video. If we are faced with a big question, thinking that the world is 0 and 1 only, the two extremes, can be a really good way to come to a decision. And in our topic today, that means we have two people to compare. David the Downpayer has 50k exactly as Mourinho Brandao was writing in his comment. And his name gives it away already. He used his 50k to make a down payment when buying his rental property. Larry the Leverager, on the other hand, also has 50k to invest, but doesn't make a down payment and leverages with a bank mortgage as much as he can. David the Downpayer will buy the smallest property possible for 136,500 euro. I'll tell you in a moment why that is. On top of that, he has to pay roughly 10% closing costs for notary, taxes and real estate agent. It could also be 5.5% only if he buys in Bavaria without a real estate agent, but it could also be more than 15% in Berlin. So let's take 10% as an average, bringing his investment total to just a little over 150,000 euros. And that is the answer why a property for 136k is the smallest possible in our example. Because David the Downpayer will bring in his 50k into this investment, 13k for the closing costs and 36k as a down payment. And the 100,000 euro mortgage is the lowest that we found feasible with banks. The average mortgage amount in Germany was 288,000 in August. Now if you walk into a bank and want a third of that, banks are not really interested in giving you a mortgage, because they make a third of the money with basically the same amount of work. If you want a mortgage worth $1 million, and can afford it of course, banks will be very interested because they earn a lot of interest with you. With 100,000, they are not that interested, but they'll do it. With less than 100k, almost no bank is willing to give you a mortgage. So let's define that as our minimum here. What mortgage are you getting? 2% principal per year, you paying back the bank, the 100k they gave you, and right around 3.5% interest these days. And I know, mortgage is a big topic for you guys because interest rates are high and a lot of you guys are waiting for mortgage rates to go down to 1% as they were during the pandemic. Which they will not. At least not in the foreseeable future. But keep the comments going. That's at least good for the YouTube algorithm. We'll see in a moment what interest rate Larry the Leverager gets without a down payment. David gets probably a little bit better interest rate with his huge down payment. But don't think he will get 3% or 2% with his down payment. That's not gonna happen. Again, banks are not interested in this deal. Now, let's say David's property has a 3% return on rent, which means he gets 4,000 euros rent per year or 341 euros a month. Net, after deducting the cost share for the landlord, Nebenkosten. I know that there are properties with a higher return on rent out there, but we like to be conservative here on this channel. If we calculate with 6% or 8% return on rent, this looks like the best investment in the world, but this is not the reality that we're living in right now. I'm not one of these fake internet gurus that tells you how to get rich with completely made up numbers. If you're looking for that, then this channel is not for you, my friend. So, pre-tax, David is left with a little over 100 euro negative cash flow after deducting the mortgage from his rental income. Why is real estate a good investment then? Because everyone on the internet says you have to invest in real estate with positive cash flow, right? That's an excellent question that we answered in the video that was released on the GermanReal.sa channel today actually. So if you want to know why properties with negative cash flow can be the best investment you can ever make, check out the video that is linked in the description. I said pre-tax because David can deduct a lot of his costs from his taxes and get a tax benefit for that. With a taxable income of more than 63,000 euros in 2023, David will be in the 42% tax bracket, meaning he gets 42 euros for every 100 euro he spends on tax deductible things. interest on his mortgage, insurance, depreciation, just to name some examples. So, to complete the calculation, before we come to Larry the Leverager, David will be roughly 55 euros cash flow positive on an after-tax basis. Is that good? Is that bad? We don't know yet. We have to look at the comparison first. While David the Downpayer bought the smallest property possible, Larry the Leverager is going all out, buying 2 properties for 250k each. He could also buy one big property, but I'm more a fan of the nice 2-room, 3-room flats in good locations that give you the highest chance of finding a tenant. Nothing fancy, just like the flat I bought for you guys last year in Düsseldorf. Or the flat we're currently planning to add to the community portfolio behind the scenes. With his 50k, he pays the 25k closing costs, twice of course, bringing his mortgage to €500,000. 100% financing that most of you guys want to go for as well. Now, banks will be very interested in that. So much interested that Larry can probably choose if he wants to finance both properties with one bank or split it across 2 different banks. Whatever he chooses, he will most likely pay a little higher interest rate than his friend David. Let's say 4.2% per year, bringing his monthly mortgage to almost €2,600. But you know what? Larry, just like myself and many of our clients, doesn't give a single about his mortgage rate because it's tax deductible anyway. So he gets a 42% tax benefit, which we'll come to later on. He buys the same property as his friend David with a 3% net return on rent, earning him €1,250 a month in rental income, bringing his pre-tax cash flow to minus €1,300 a month. Oof, am I right? Not necessarily. Because with a 42% tax rate, Larry's after-tax cash flow will be roughly €205 a month negative. And now we have all the numbers. So before I tell you my personal opinion, think about this yourself for a second and let me know in the comments what you think is better and why. David is approaching real estate investing in the safest way possible with the least amount of leverage because of his huge down payment. And that's why he's called David the Downpayer. You know, that's good for people who like to play things safe and for people with a low tax rate, because a lot of our calculations here depend on a 42% tax rate, right? If you have a 25% tax rate only, you pay a lot more and the government pays a lot less, bringing down your profitability of this whole investment. What I like about David's case is that he gets real passive income on an after-tax basis. But if we're honest with each other, he paid a ton of money for that. So if you are a cash flow kind of guy, you would be a lot better off with the high yield savings accounts from our calculators. With a 5% savings account, you would make a lot higher cash flow than with real estate, if cash flow is the only thing that you're looking for. And that's my personal critique about David's approach here. He could do a lot more, like a lot more. I don't think he's using his money efficiently in the way that he approaches real estate investing. Real estate is the only investment that allows you to leverage, so why not use it? If you don't want to do it and play things safe, fine for me, you do you. But it's not the most efficient way to use your money. Larry, on the other hand, has the most risky approach possible, right? Because he leverages 100%. And you can see from his pre-tax cash flow that he created an investment case around himself that depends for many years on one thing, that he earns a lot of money to keep the liquidity going. So no passive income for him in the next couple of years. Check out the other video on the German Real.estate channel if you want to dig deeper into this cash flow discussion. The higher the risk, the higher the potential reward, right? And Larry's reward is big because he pays 2% principal to the bank each year, meaning he buys €10,000 of his investment properties every single year. Think about it this way. With €205 monthly negative cash flow or €2,460 a year, he gets €10,000 in property every year. If that's not a good deal, I don't know what is. And that's why real estate approached like this is by far the fastest way to build wealth possible. You just gotta know what you're doing. And you gotta support the system with liquidity in the beginning. Otherwise, this whole house of cards is gonna crash down quick. So there's no right or wrong. And now, let me know what you guys think in the comments.